Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video today, we are going to discuss how we can set up our root account which we have created in our earlier video. If you have not seen that video, do check it out on the top right side of your screen. Okay, and we are also going to delve into the concepts related to IAM users and IAM groups. Okay, how we can create them. Okay, and I have also created a video discussing about what actually are IAM users and groups. So if you have not checked that video as well, you can check it. The video is being shown on the top right side of the screen. Okay, so these videos are going to be part of the AWS Mastery skill series that we are continuing, and in these videos I am going to teach you in detail about each and every concept related to the AWS cloud platform. So if you have not subscribed to my channel, do subscribe to it, and let's get started with today's video. Okay, so over here you can see I have the AWS management console open. Okay, and in the previous videos I have created the root account. Okay, so I'm just going to sign into the console using the same root account. So we'll press this button, sign in using root user email. I'll quickly enter the email address associated with that account. And then the password. Okay, so we are in now. Now when you log in using your root account, okay, this account is the most privileged accounts which you understand by now, right? So if you go to the service named IAM, over here you will see that there are certain security recommendations which are being shown for this particular account, and the first and foremost recommendation is adding an MFA for the root user. So MFA stands for multi-factor authentication, and it is just an extra security layer, okay, on top of your account to help protect your account. So the process is as follows. When I signed in right now, I signed in using my password, right? So generally my password can get compromised at some time, right? If I have not chosen a strong password. So MFA comes to rescue at that step. So what happens in MFA is there are generally applications like Google Authenticator, Authy, right? So these are third-party authenticator applications. So we need to set up one such application which runs on your mobile or desktop device. And what happens is when you log in this account which has MFA set up, then after you have entered your password, it will also ask for an MFA code or a multi-factor authentication code which is being displayed on your mobile on that particular app, either on your mobile or desktop based on where you have set it up, and you need to enter that code as well to log in. So this is how our account get more secured. And in this recommendation you are seeing that it is telling that for our root user we have not set up the MFA. So to set it up, the process is quite simple. I'll show it to you here. So I will go ahead and click on add MFA here, and you will see that it is first asking me to choose a device name for my MFA. So I'll just go ahead and choose a device name here. It can be literally anything. Okay, and now I am going to choose this option for authenticator app. So I'll just select this option and go ahead. Okay, so now you can see that it is telling me install a compatible application like Google Authenticator, Duo Mobile or Authy app. So I really like the Authy app here. So I have already got it installed on my device. Okay, so what I have to just do at this step is I have to press this show QR code button and I have to scan this QR code using my mobile device. So I'll just do it right now. And the setup of the application in the mobile device is really simple. If you guys want to watch a video on that as well, I can do that, but generally it's very self-explanatory. So I will just open the Authy app on my mobile device. and there is a big button to basically add a new account here for my account. So I'll just scan the QR code, and once I scan the QR code, it immediately starts showing the code for this particular setup. And the first thing is I have to enter the first code here, which is 484905 in my case, and then I have to wait for 30 seconds and enter the second code as well. So AWS generally uses it for their own internal synchronization mechanism. So I'll just wait for the code to change here. Okay, and the code has changed now. So the new code is 472414, and with the, oh sorry, I pressed it in the same tab, 472414. Okay, and I'll just go ahead and press this add MFA button here. And once you press that, the MFA has been added to my root account. So now I'll show you how it works basically. So I'll just go ahead and sign out from my account and sign back in. Okay, so I'll go ahead with the root user email again because we have set up the MFA for that account. So once I log in now, you will see a difference here. Okay, so now you can see that it is asking me to enter a MFA code as well, okay, for extra security. So I'm just going to enter the MFA code that displays on my device, and the code is 260478. Okay, I guess the password was wrong, so I have to try it again. Same MFA code so far. I guess the password is getting wrong. Okay, so I think now it should be fine. So if I submit now, you can see that I'm in my root console now. So this is what it takes to set up MFA for your root account. Now I'll move on to the next topic of this video. So I'll go back to my IAM account, and over here you can see that now the security recommendation is saying that everything is green now, so the root user has MFA. So now in our previous video we discussed about the concept of IAM users and groups. So in the next part of the video I'm going to show you how to create an IAM user for our account. So just as a quick recapitulation, so the account that you are seeing right now on the screen is basically the root account, and it is generally not advisable to use the root account for your day-to-day operations in the AWS account. What is advisable is to create an IAM user for your account, and you give the IAM user the necessary permissions which is required for them to do anything on the website. So you can create an IAM user with the exclusive permissions for S3 service if he's required to do something in the S3 service world. Now secondly, if you want to create a user, okay, who needs to manage servers in your accounts, basically the EC2 service, right? So in that case you can create an IAM user with EC2 permissions so that he can be exclusively restricted to that particular area only. Now these restrictions arise from a principle known as the least privilege principle, which AWS asks us to follow as well. So under the guidance of that principle, it is advised that you restrict the permissions for a user only up to the limit which is required for them to do that job. You don't give anyone more permissions than needed for this, just to keep your account secure. So now I'll go ahead and click on users, which is showing under this left sidebar, and press on create user. Now you need to choose a username for your user. So I'll just go ahead and choose a generic name. I am user1. Now, one point over here is that generally you can access the AWS service through three ways. Okay, one of them is using this management console that you are seeing here, through which you can literally do anything. The other way is through application programming using Java language, Python language. So AWS has provided necessary SDKs for each of those languages for you to access AWS programmatically. And the third way is to access AWS using command line, right, which I will show in a separate video. So these are the three types of accesses through which you can access AWS. So over here you can see an option. It is telling that the user that you are creating, do you want to provide the management console access for that user as well? So I will go ahead and check this box, because yes, I want him to have the access for this. Okay, and I will check this I want to create an IAM user option here. Okay, now it is asking me to choose a console password for the user. Okay, either I can get it auto generated or I can choose a custom password. So I will just choose custom password here. Okay, and then the another security step is, it is telling that do you want the users to create a new password when they sign in? So I just don't want them to create it, because I created it for them. So I'll just uncheck that option and press next here. Okay, now this step is related to providing permissions for our IAM user. I'll not go into this permission page right now, because I'll discuss that later in the video. For now, I'll just want you to press next here. And in AWS, literally every resource or service has something called as tags. So you can actually add tags for your IAM user, which can later help you identify these AWS resources with a particular tag with them. So I can choose to add a tag here, but I'll not do that right now. Okay, and once you press create user, the user is now created in your account, right? And the password is here. You can see it if you want, and you have the username here. And over here you can see that this is the console URL for your IAM user. So they need to sign in using this URL. They just can't use your root account user email and all, right? So they need to sign in using this URL, and I will literally show you what this URL does. It basically does nothing but populates the account ID for your account in the in one area of the screen of the sign in. So you can see this is the account ID which is there in the URL, and you can also see it here on the top right side of your screen. So this is your account ID basically, and through this URL, any IAM user, in under your account can log in using their username and password. But before that, I will show you one more trick. So you can see here that this URL is generally not so much user friendly, right? Because there is a huge number to remember, and it becomes difficult. Although AWS gives you option to email the sign-in instructions to the intended recipient, but there is another way to simplify this URL. So for that, I want you to go back to the AWS home. Right, and over here in the IAM dashboard, you can see that there is an option for creating an account alias. So what it does is it simply replaces the account ID in the sign-in URL with a more user-friendly name. So what I can do is I can just create an account alias for my account. So I can just say Sumita demo account. And now you can see, after I create the alias for my account, the sign-in URL has become much simpler. So it just says Sumita, the name of the account alias, and the remaining part of the URL, right? So now I can copy this URL. Okay, I can sign out from my account, which is the root account right now, and I can just paste this URL in the browser. So once you paste it, you can see that the account alias is basically populated under the account ID section. And now I need to enter the IAM username or password. Earlier, if you remember guys, what we were doing is we were signing in using the root user email. But now since I have created an IAM user for myself, okay, so I can just use the username that I created earlier, and I can just type in their password and I can sign in now. Cool. So I have now signed in as my IAM user here, but something is not looking right here, which you can see that I'm getting access denied literally for everything, right? So if I go to any service like IAM here, you can see that, oh my god, I am getting access denied for everything, and this will literally happen for each and every service wherever you go over to. So if I go to S3, say for example, which is a object storage service within AWS, you can see when I go to create bucket, and if I try to create a S3 bucket here, let's name it demo bucket 1 Sumitavo. Okay, and if I just go all the way down and try to create a bucket, I will get failure because it is telling that I don't have this permission. So literally, if you remember, when we created our IAM user, we didn't associated any permission for that particular user while we were creating it, and that's another role of the IAM service within AWS. So through IAM, you can actually provide your IAM users granular permissions to do something in the website, right? So you can choose to provide them restricted access to a particular service in AWS like S3, C2 and all, and they can then just do that thing within the account. So that's the power of IAM. So you are not providing someone more access than what it's needed. So when we have created this IAM user, this user literally have no permission. So except for login in their account or changing password and all, they literally can't do anything here. So to show you that I'll just go to another service here, which is IAM, and say for example I go to listing the users in my account. So I can just press users here and I can say I don't even have permissions for listing the users. So literally I have no permission. So to solve this issue, what we have to do is we have to sign out, sign back in using the root account, and now we have to enter the MFA code which I have set up earlier for our account. Cool. So we are in now, and I'll go back to the IAM service, and then I'll go to the users again, and over here you can see the user which you just created, and you can just click on that user and you will see that there is a permission tab here, okay, which is very important. So over here what I'm just going to do is I'm going to add permissions for this user, and in AWS you provide permissions through something called as policies, right? So policies are nothing but JSON documents. I have explained this already in my previous video, but I'm just recapitulating that. So they are just JSON documents which give you access, and they allow you to give you granular access for your website. So I'll press the add permissions tab here, and over here you can see that I can attach policies directly for my IAM user. So I'll select this option, and below which you can see that there are so many, about 1300 policies that are listed over here that you can choose for your IAM user. So if you remember, when I logged in through the IAM user, I showed you a specific example of going to the IAM service and trying to list out users which failed. So I'm going to resolve that issue for this user now. So what I just need to do is I'm going to search for a policy named IAM read only access. Okay, so what it generally does is, it, as the name suggests, that it provides a read only access for my IAM user. So I'm just going to select that directly and press next here, and this is going to add this policy for my IAM user directly. So I'll just press on add permissions next, and yes, it's added now. Now to show it to you in a much better fashion, what I'm just going to do is I'm going to open an incognito window for my browser, okay, and I'm going to tile it to my right side of the screen, and I'm going to tile this screen towards the left side of the screen. Okay, so that we can see both the accounts together. Okay, so let me log back in, okay, to my IAM user now. So I'll just copy the sign in URL again from the security dashboard here. Okay, and I'll paste it here now. Okay, and I'm going to log in using the IAM user that we created earlier. And now you will see that the same user will now be able to access the IAM service. Okay, he's going to be able to list the users, the policies and everything, because we have provided the read-only access to this user now. So I'm going to go back to the IAM service real quick and just going to click on users, and now you can see that now that permission issue is not coming in anymore, and the same thing will happen for listing policies and everything as well, because we have provided read-only access for this entire service IAM. So guys, this was about this was about the IAM users and the permissions, how we can provide permissions to that. One thing that I would like to show you over here is that how a policy document looks like. So if we go back to policies here and type in on IAM read-only access, which we provided to our user, you will see I have already discussed about this structure in my previous video, but let me again reiterate it here. So you will see that there is a version over here which just says about the version of the policy. Okay, and then there are statements which are nothing but an list of statements basically, and it has three important parts. So one is the effect. So effect generally tells you that what this policy is about. Is it allowing something or is it denying something? So it is basically allowing us access over here, so it's set to allow. Action is basically what exact granularity or what exact permissions I need to provide for this particular policy. So as you can see that this policy is providing a read access for everything within this particular IAM service here, and resource is generally on which resource or service this policy applies to. So since it's a generic policy, it is set to star over here. So this is how a policy document looks like. It's nothing but a JSON document actually, which you can basically directly attach to your IAM user, right? So till now we discussed about the process of creating an IAM user, providing permissions to the IAM user. I even showed you how a policy document looks like, which is actually at the core of providing the permission. Now in the next step, I am going to show you another effective way of providing these permissions for your IAM users. So before that guys, I just want to have a small discussion with you. Like in general, in your organization or company, there are different groups, right? Like there is an IT group, there is a HR group, right? And generally all these groups have people who are working towards some common work area or common goal basically, right? So it always makes sense that you provide very similar kind of permissions for these users, because all of them need to do similar kind of things, right? But an IT user group, say for example, need to do something more. They need to have an admin access, say for example, for your AWS account, because they literally handle the services, servers and everything, right? So now, if the way I showed you so far, it's kind of a tedious way, because every time a new user is coming up, you are searching for these policies and you are then attaching them to that particular user. It's kind of tedious, right? You can solve this using something called as IAM user groups. Actually, this is very helpful actually. So the idea is that you create a group. Like in our example, we'll create two groups. One is a HR group and one is a IT group. And instead of providing these permissions directly to the user, I'm going to attach it to the group itself, right? So the advantage of it is that whenever a new user is attached to that group, then okay, he or she inherits the permissions which are attached to that group, right? So say for example, there is a guy called Rob who joins the HR group, right? So the admin can simply go ahead and add John to the HR group, which already exists before with all the necessary permissions, and John would immediately inherit those permissions from the group itself. Then next day somebody named Rob comes in and joins the IT group, right? So the admin can add Rob to that IT group, and he would inherit the permissions from the IT group then. So this is the discussion about groups here, and there are two key concepts to the groups that I want you to know at this point of time. The first thing is a user group in IAM can contain only users, not groups actually. So you can't just add a group inside another group. This is point number one. And point number two is a single user, a single IAM user can be part of two different groups as well. So say for example, Rob is a member, okay, he's a member of both the HR team as well as the IT team, although it's a rare, but say for example, just for our example, it happens that he's a part of both HR group and IT group. So the admin in that case would want him to have permissions related to both HR group and IT group, right? So he would go ahead and add him to both of these groups. So such overlapping IAM users is also a reality here in AWS. So these are the two important concepts here. So now for our demo, I am just going to go inside this user groups here, and I will create a simple user group from here. So I will just name it HR group to be in line with our example. And you can see there that it is already telling me that do you want any users to be added to this group. So for now I will not add any user here. Okay, I'll just go ahead and I will provide everyone working in the HR group with the S3 permissions. So I'll give them S3 full access. Okay, so I'll type in the S3 full access permission here, and as you can see here, now this permission will be added to this group, right? And there are no users associated with it. So I'll just go ahead and create the user group, and in the next step what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a user to this particular group. So let me expand this screen a bit here. Okay, so it is telling there are no users in this group now, right now. So I'll just go ahead and add the existing IAM user to this group. And remember, this group has permissions related to S3 service. So I'll just go ahead and add the user to the HR group. So if I tile back the screen, or let's log into my IAM user now. So I'll just go ahead and log in to my IAM user here itself. So the account alias name was Sumitavo demo account, and the username was IAM user 1. I will type in the password and press sign in. So now for this IAM user, if I go back to the S3 service in which I went earlier in the video, but I was not able to access any buckets and all. So you can see here that now I can see the bucket which is there in our account. It's not giving any issue because now this IAM user is part of the HR group, and he or she is inheriting these permissions from that HR group now. So in this video so far, I showed you the concept of IAM users, IAM groups, policies, right? There are few other things that I would like to show you before ending this video. So I'll sign into the console again, but this time as a root user. get my phone ready because I have to enter the MFA password now. Okay, so I am back in, and in this part of the video I am going to show you couple of other services. So I'll go back to the IAM service now, and over here you will see that there is a service called as a credential report, right? So this is a very important service. What it does is it shows you the status of credentials of your IAM users for this particular account, right? So this is a very useful report in which you might want to see the status of their various credentials. So you will see in future videos that credentials like access key and secret key can also be associated with IAM users for your account, and you want to see that if they have got expired, if they have changed their password and things like that. So you can download this credential report via your root account for your IAM users. So this is very helpful actually. And if you want to see it right now, I can show it to you. So if you just press download credential report here, you can see that it is showing me the data related to my root account and for my IAM user. And you can see that where is the password when is the password next rotation, is the MFA active on my IAM user, are there any access key or secret keys, when they were last used, in which region they were used, and details like that. So it's more like your audit document, but it's very helpful in case you are dealing with a huge amount of users in your account actually. So this is about credentials report. There is one more important thing, which is basically the root the account settings here. So in the account settings, okay, you can choose a password policy for your IAM users, right? So if I press on edit button here, you can see that by default these following permissions are applied for each of your IAM users who are created in your account, like a password being of minimum 8 characters, it needs to have a uppercase, lowercase numbers and all, and the password never expires right now, right? And you can also apply your custom settings here. So you can increase the number of characters or turn on password expiration, and say that a password will expire in 30 days after you create it, right? So these kind of protections you can apply for all your IAM users in your account. So this is also very helpful, a password policy which is present under account settings in your IAM service, right? And towards the end, I would just like to mention that there is something called as roles over here. We will learn about it in detail in our future videos. So this is very helpful, wherein you want to provide these permissions which I showed you in this video. We were providing permissions to IAM users, but say for example sometimes an AWS resource like EC2 service or an SQS service needs to access some other AWS services. So in that case, we create roles for such services basically. So we create a role to access S3 service, say for example, and we attach it to an EC2 instance, in which case EC2 would be able to access S3, okay, without compromising any credentials. So this is a very helpful helpful section, okay, but we will come to it towards some later videos, because till now we have not discussed any service in AWS apart from IAM, okay. And okay guys, so this was about today's video, wherein we learned about IAM users, we learned about IAM groups, okay, how to add permissions for these IAM users, these IAM groups, right? We also learned about many other things like account aliases, okay, how to log in your IAM user, the password policy settings, credential reports and all that. So if you have any questions related to these topics, do ask me in the comment section. I would be happy to answer that. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, do subscribe to it so that I get motivation for making more such good videos for you. And do press the bell icon, don't forget the bell icon, that's very important. So thank you very much.